One fact tuning into today's video is going to have a quick look at the next 8 to 10 days time. It is going to be a quick look because there's not much to see really. The weather that we've got at the moment is really going to persist for the foreseeable future. The next 8 to 10 days time, high pressure will stay very dominant indeed. Before I get on with the video, don't forget to be advertising there's green keyword ads on all my pages at GavsWorkVids.com. If you roll your cursor over those green keywords, they'll display ads. If you click through the words, you'll go to the advertised website and you'll be supporting GavsWorkVids.com. By doing that. So just going to start off with Central England temperature for 2013 from UK Met Office. You can find this on my linked page. It's been a cold year, as we know. 2013 has been a very cold year, with every month from January to June coming out with a negative anomaly. But July is bucking the trend. We're currently at 17.2. Which is 1.5 degrees above the Central England temperature 61 to 90 average. And that's likely to remain the case over the next few days. In fact, it'll increase over the next few days because we're going to keep it hot and mainly dry as well. So there's certainly no sign of an end to the above average temperatures that we've got for July. I think we're going to definitely come away with our first warmer than average month of the year, and it could be very substantially warmer than average indeed. Once you see these charts, you'll see why. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly chart. We've got the ECMWF on the left, the GFS is on the right. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, important area in the atmosphere. That's where we've got high pressure, low pressure developing, and weather is caused by those areas of high pressure and low pressure being moved around by the jet stream, which runs above. So both the ECMWF and the GFS showing that for in 8 to 10 days time, which is taking us from around the 18th to the 21st of July. We've got a vast and extensive and big area of above average heights sitting right over the top of the British Isles. Both models in firm agreement that for the next week to 10 days high pressure will be dominating. That high pressure is going to be producing a lot of very warm weather, and it's also going to be producing a lot of sunshine and dry weather as well. So if you have a look at the GFS temperature ensembles, these are for the upper atmosphere, but they're useful for lower down. They do tell us what's likely to be going lower down. The red line, of course, as you know by now, is where we should be for the time of year. All members of the ensemble are above the red line right now and going to stay above the red line for the next week. We're going for a warm week coming up. There was a suggestion a couple of days ago that we might get a bit of a dip in the temperatures going into the start of next week and into the middle of next week. It looks like we're going to be staying above average now throughout the period, so for the coming week is going to be warm, and that does extend into the second week as well. It's not until we get to around the 23rd, 24th of July that we're starting to see some members of the ensemble going below average, but a lot of scatter there. That's a long way out. It's over 10 days away, so I really wouldn't be taking that too seriously. For the foreseeable future, we're staying warmer than average. Also staying very dry. This is the London ensemble. Not many precipitation spikes until the last stage of the ensemble chart, where we do get more coming through. But again, that's associated with all this scatter and uncertainty some time away. As I say, that's for London. This is the ensemble for Manchester. Same sort of idea. Very warm period coming up over the next week at least, probably extending into 10-day period as well. A little bit more in way of precipitation spikes. That's usually the case for Manchester. It's one of the rainiest cities in the UK. I'm sure you know that if you're watching this and you live in Manchester. You do get a lot of rain up there, so yes, you've got more precipitation spikes coming through, but really that's a pretty dry ensemble for Manchester, you have to say, and certainly for the next week up to around the 17th, 18th of July there's barely any precipitation to speak of. The temperature anomalies for the next week showing that we are in fact going to be above average. Just saw it on the ensembles. These are the temperature anomalies for the down on the surface, and yes, we're in the pink colour, so we're going to be at least a couple of degrees above the July average for the 11th to the 18th of July. Precipitation anomalies, well, we're going to be very dry again. Really dry week coming up from the 11th to the 18th. We're in the red colours here, so temperature precipitation coming out at just 0 to 25% of the average. Many places probably won't record any rain at all in the next week. It's going to be really warm as we go into Saturday. Just show you Saturday's temperatures. A hot day. Temperatures are going to be up to 31 degrees. The suggestion here, that's 88 Fahrenheit in the south. Could well increase that a little bit more, maybe up to around 32, perhaps for London. 32 is 90 Fahrenheit. We've got a cold front dropping southwards, a very weak feature, just depends how quickly it comes through. But in any case, Saturday is going to be a hot day across southern parts of England, and much of England and Wales actually into the upper 20s or around the 30 Celsius mark. So yeah, it's going to be a really warm, if not hot day on Saturday. And that warmth extends into Sunday as well. But as I say, there was a suggestion, but it's going to Sunday and next week, we might start to slide those temperatures down a little bit. We do actually knock a degree or so off, but it's still very warm, if not hot, going into Sunday and into Monday as well, with temperatures suggested to be around the upper 20s to the 30 Celsius mark. And that persists into Tuesday also. So that little slide in the temperature that I thought we'd get later in the weekend and at the start of next week, not really happening. It does, we do knock a degree or so off, but it stays very, very warm going into the start of next week. Quick looking at the generic charts. GFS burst all high pressure originating across the country on Tuesday the 16th of July, so next Tuesday. The high pressure is still around the country going into Wednesday, dropping a bit of a trough in towards Scotland. That could turn it more unsettled and cooler for Scotland, but for England and Wales, that which is still quite dominant. And as we move through into Thursday, the 18th, which is a week away, of course, the high pressure is still more or less ridging in. Again, we might be bringing some cooler air down to the north and the east around this area of high pressure, but really it's the anticyclone that's ruling the roost. Look what happens as we get to the 10-day period. That high pressure builds back in again as a very extensive feature, 1,025 millibars. So that just takes us back to square one again with lots of dry, very warm and sunny conditions. I have to say there's no real sign of a breakdown to this high pressure just at the moment. For the ECMWF again, the high pressure is ridging in next Tuesday, low pressure close to northern Scotland. As we move through into Wednesday the 17th, high pressure very dominant. Moving through to Thursday the 18th, yeah, high pressure really in control of this. Low pressure up to the northwest of Scotland, maybe bringing some rain to the far north of Scotland, but really it's a dry scene with high pressure in control. Moving out to the 21st of July, which is, as far as the ECMWF goes, the high pressure may be pulling back a little bit into the Atlantic. It could be bringing somewhat cooler air to the north and the northeast, but really it's the anticyclone that's in control. And the GEM for Tuesday, the high pressure is ridging in across the country, and the high pressure stays in control for Wednesday the 17th and for Thursday the 18th, right over top of the country. So dry, sunny, very warm temperatures. And moving out to the 10-day period, Sunday the 21st of July, again as far out as what goes, the high pressure still sitting there over the country. We've got low pressure troughs sitting over Scandinavia and low pressure in the Atlantic, so maybe the high is being attacked from the east and from the west, but really it's firmly in control. We're stuck in the middle of those low pressure systems with that high pressure, so there's no sign of an end to this very warm, dry and sunny weather. And that's how we're going to keep it, I think, for the next week to 10 days at least. High pressure will remain firmly in control of the weather pattern. So if you like this summery weather, it's good news for you. If you don't like it, it's bad news. And we've just got to wait and see when the high pressure starts to break down. Eventually it will, of course, but there's no sign of it yet. It does look as though it's going into our first really sort of classic summer month, I think, now, since July 2006. We're on the verge, I think, of a really warm summer month. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.